Hi everyone, Vlad here, Vlad from Gradual. Today we have an interesting webinar. We will cover topic like how to create interactive emails and land them to the right folder. My co-host today is Matt Harris. He is the CEO of Dyspatch. Pleasure to have him here today, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Vlad. It's great to be here.
Perfect. So together we will dive deep into kind of new like version of email marketing, which is interactive. For those who know, it's IMP marketing, email marketing. It makes like kind of emails interactive. Maybe someone already use it, maybe someone not, but we'll like dive deep in a moment. So as I mentioned before, we today having a webinar about how to create interactive emails and lend them to the right inboxes. It will be useful for email marketers for increase their ROI and build the new scalable email strategy, because this is something new and interesting in some way, because this kind of innovation in email marketing, which is kind of already like existing for, I guess, 50 years plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, together with Matt, we kind of cover this topic, but first thing first, Matt, can you like do a short intro about the Dyspatch and what are you doing there?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Vlad. So hey folks, I'm Matt, founder and CEO of Dyspatch. And so we're on the email building side. So we don't send email for you, but we help folks from small companies up to Fortune 500 build really, really great emails, make sure they're responsive and mobile friendly, and make sure they can be sent through any sending platform. And we place a really big emphasis on what we use the next generation of email, which is like interactive and what we call apps and email. So we've helped tons of big companies build lots of email. We have a modular design system, so lots of blocks built within our platform as well, which I think is super great. And yeah, excited to talk about this topic because when we talk about interactive email, like one of the first concerns a lot of senders have is, hey, is this going to impact my my deliverability? And so it's like a really important topic to talk about. So yeah, excited to be here, Vlad.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So a few more words about Gradual. So as you probably know, Gradual is email deliverability software. Basically, I can say that we lay on like email success platform. So we can identify us as an email success platform. Our main goal is to have email marketing works for you, and as a lead acquisition channel, it can like really drive the ROI for your company. Basically, don't trust people who said that email marketing is bad. Well, myself and Matt, so we'll kind of, it's our bread and butter. So email still work, and email is kind of great email acquisition channel so far, and I guess it will be for a few more or even like decent time of years. So yeah, so let's talk about numbers. So email marketing in a nutshell already is kind of really huge instrument. So basically worldwide is kind of huge email marketing comes around. So basically already like 300 billion emails sending per day. A lot of marketers kind of rely on this channel in order to have like more subscribers, in order to nurture their clients, in order to drive more and more clients to their companies. But unfortunately, like 50% plus or even more already, emails end up in the spam because Gmail, Google Workspace, Microsoft, any other big ESP email service providers kind of trying to help us in order to prevent like scam, prevent some sort of like bad emails go around, because there is a lot of people that trying to like earn money on the black way in terms of email marketing, trying to get more data, trying to manipulate with this data. So the goal of those kind of big companies there is to have this more strict rules for email marketing, because 300 billion emails per day, it's kind of really huge. I even can imagine if there is will be like physical letters and it will be like the whole city covered with mails, I think.
Yeah. Here at Dyspatch, Vlad, we call this the law of email. the law of email is that every year companies will send more email. And so it gets more and more competitive every year in the inbox. It's the law of email.
Yeah, right. And also one more thing worth to mention is that right now, it takes more than 1 week to set up right email marketing in the right way in order to have your emails like sent out from your tools, your domains, your mailboxes, and sharing some numbers regarding the metrics. So with Apology, we identified that around 30% of open rates is kind of healthy for both warm and cold outreach. By meaning warm, I mean usual standard email marketing that like usually takes place with volumes. And regarding the cold email outreach, it's usually like account-based marketing where you have less leads, but it's kind of accurate. So what kind of numbers are you getting with Dyspatch, Matt?
For our cold outreach and marketing outreach?
Yeah. On average.
On average. Yeah, I think the 30% for warm outreach is pretty good. It's one of the most surprising things with emails. Like even when someone comes in with like high intent and like they're a warm lead, you still have to like work to get them engaged. Like people are so in the software as a service space, like we are, people are so commonly fill out forms on a website, but they aren't receptive to email or don't want to talk to you. And so yeah, it's still very competitive.
Yeah, perfect. So let's go next. So the huge problem with spam and getting to the inbox, and even huge brands like, for example, Gucci, Zara, and maybe ASOS, and any other companies that are sending huge volumes of emails facing those kind of problems too. So here's the problem with the email marketing. Since it takes a huge place in the worldwide traffic, it's kind of hard to email to the right place because your emails can be filtered to the promotion, your emails can be filtered by spam, and you lose drastically in terms of engagement of your emails and getting more clients or subscribers or engage with your people out there. Usually such as niche like e-commerce, consumer products, marketing, advertising, entertainment, and having huge traffic, having huge volumes of their emails. And as a result, the people that interacts with their emails can easily mark them as a spam. And on their level, it can be huge number, million people can report all those emails as a spam, and they will suffer in terms of their further outreach. So common problems, when we're talking about the common problems of getting to the spam and why even those companies landing in spam. This is because of the really large volumes of emails and it kind of million or hundred of million emails that they're sending to their own subscribers, to their potential clients, as a newsletter, for example, or as for example, invitation to the webinar or some event there. And when we're talking about the large volume of emails, it's kind of easy to imagine that there's a lot of people interacting with your emails. And there is a thing behind, one technical thing that I want to share right now, this kind of thing called feedback loop that your leads engaging with when they receiving your emails. So basically, they can decide whether your emails end up in the inbox, maybe it's kind of not the right or appropriate time for them, and they will put it in the spam or promotion or unsubscribe, etc. And on the high volumes, it really takes place as a major problem because you need to take care about who you're sending your emails to. It's kind of pure segmentation, right? You need to segment your leads on most active, on the most engaging with your brand. We'll talk about segmentation in a while. And as a result of sending large volumes as a per segmentation, and you're getting kind of low open reply rates, you're getting bounces, and this is kind of engaging metrics that drives the results. So as a marketers, we're always fighting for a high open rates, high replay rates, and we want to avoid any bounces. For those who know, bounces kind of non-existing email. If you send your email to those kind of email address, it will bounce back to you with some sort of error. And like having in place some more technical stuff, talking about email infrastructure and email deliverability together. So basically, what I mean by having here like email infrastructure, basically it takes place how you set up your domain name, your subdomains. It's kind of this weird thing that can be more technical than it should be for email marketers. Is DNS record, this is SPF, DMARC, DKIM, BIMI record, that new one for authentication for your domain. So kind of technical stuff. And most of the marketers out there even have no thought about or didn't know that they need to polish their domain before each and every email goes from their infrastructure, from their tools, from their domains, or from their mailboxes. And as a result, we are having the bad email deliverability. Your domain suffer, your mailbox suffer, and you didn't drive any results. Matt, by the way, how are you like facing those problems, or your clients? Can you like share some cases on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, like you made the point, Vlad, like the email deliverability world has changed a lot in the last few years as the inbox providers started looking at email engagement and using that to say whether this should go to spam or not. And it's really, I view deliverability as two things. It's like the things you can control and the things that you can like optimize for. And things you can control is like how many emails you send, the segmentation you do, having DKIM, SPF, and BIMI set up. Those are all like those are absolutes. You can set those up. You can set up your segments. You can control how many emails you send per day. The things you can try to optimize for is on the engagement side. You can try to optimize subject lines to get more open. You can optimize the contents of your email to get better engagement. And so I think the deliverability game, it's like the things you can control, that's like table stakes. Like you have to do those things now if you want to be a high quality sender and you want to get your emails to your subscribers. But it's the things to optimize for. That's kind of like the new world of, hey, like subject line optimization is more important now than it's ever been. And building great responsive emails that look great are more important than ever. I think there's some stats around like emails with broken images. It's like a 60% bounce rate out of the email instantly if the images don't work. So it's like just to emphasize how important that is for both like a good email experience as well as like that's going to impact your deliverability rate now if you have bad images because of people's bounce, it's negative engagement, and Gmail says, hey, this email is no good, let's move it to spam.
Yeah, right. This kind of crucial topic. I even though I have people who even trust now, imagine that we're building those like email marketing companies, the whole email marketing share, I can say that for as a lead acquisition channel that they didn't trust that email works, but there is a lot of stuff that they didn't polish and didn't prepare for emails, and they starting to blast their emails and never get any like results so far. So yeah. So what is the proper way to send emails? So we came up with three main like pillars, I guess, for email outreach or any email sending out. So basically, when it takes for the email marketing and the standard understanding, you need to have a right domain, right subdomain, which is configured for type of email that you were planning to send or want to send. You need to have your dedicated IP address. And again, this is more related to email marketing rather than cold email outreach, because cold email outreach is kind of different play and with different rules. So having for your email marketing your dedicated IP address, which is bounded to your domain and subdomain in your mailbox, gives you an ability to build your reputation with the email. It's like subscribers with the email that you are sending, not that like kind of problem that you are having when you use shared IP address. And by sharing IP address, I mean, if you are using, for example, Google as your primary email service provider, and you are using Google Mailbox to send emails, basically you are using their IP addresses. And there is like plenty of sources that you can check with your, for example, putting your domain or IP address that they give you, and you will see how many companies by domain sending emails alongside with you during this day, during this moment, and you sharing the you sharing the domain health and kind of sender score of all of those companies. And this is the one more thing about email deliverability. Using the sharing IP address, you rely on like other companies that sending emails on the same IP address as you are. And for example, there is some people that can like blast 1 billion of email that they bought on some fever or whatever. And you end up with a bad reputation, even though if you like wouldn't send any email from your domain. But having in place dedicated IP address give you an ability to control your outgoing traffic and give you an ability to build your reputation from scratch. And like having in mind all of those rules that Matt and I covered already, that you need to be more like strict when it takes to email marketing, and you need to polish each and every step in order to have great results and build a reputation that will have ability to increase your email marketing efforts and increase the result that you are getting. And obviously, talking about the last point here, it's email authentication, and it's more about the technical setup that I mentioned before, how you manage authentication and why you have why are you even able to send email from your domain, and have you like right tools for that, and have you right technical setup that will help you to like your email to get to the inbox. So basically, this is 3 crucial steps when it takes to successful email marketing. So talking about how to get to the inbox, with Folgerly, we came up with a golden standard, which contains 3 main steps. I don't want to like give you the technical terms like email deliverability, set up DNS, and you will be okay. So it's basically very simple. You need to identify, you need to solve problem, you need to maintain your problem. And this is the 3 main rules when it takes to the email deliverability that will help you to get to the inbox without saying. So basically, when I'm talking about identify, you need to understand how your emails perform. You need to understand and read your open rates, your engagement rates. If your emails, no one like opening, this is the red flag for you. If your emails, if this is the goal, or is the goal of your emails to get answers, replies, no one replies to you, this is the like another red flag for you. So before or even after sending first email marketing campaign, you need to test your inbox placement rate. And the very simple way is to send email to your colleague, for example, from this campaign. Create this campaign, put some email template that you're planning to send, and test it on your colleagues at least. Because if it like get to the inbox, you're probably doing everything right. But it can land to the spam, it can be landed to the promotion, or even they can even know having like no delivery of your email. By meaning that, I mean that your emails can be routed from you, but never get on the like end side of the recipient for a reason that you misconfigured something. So having in mind that you need to identify your current email deliverability situation before any emails goes from your domain, mailbox, or tool. And as a result, if you will understand how, or even like prognose or have a prediction about how your email perform, you will have more like instruments to work with, right? Regarding the solve, so when you identify a problem, it obviously takes to the solving the problem. And the usual solving thing here will be set up your DNS records. And by meaning DNS records, I mean this kind of sender policy framework, the DNS record that help you and helps your email filters to analyze what tool are you using to sending out. For example, Dyspatch as a tool. I think Matt will add something on top of what I'm saying. And I need to prove that I'm using Dyspatch as my solution for email outreach before my recipient. And I'm putting some settings that Matt's sending to me, and which is give my domain ability to send emails to my recipients. And if I, for example, want to use the MailChimp without putting their records, but I'm having Matt's records, my MailChimp emails will end up somewhere else instead of inbox. This is the crucial thing when you are polishing and setting your email marketing campaign. And playing with DNS records, playing with your email infrastructure is one of the crucial setup for email marketing campaigns. Talking about inbox placement issues, when you're understanding that your emails end up in spam or in promotion folder, you need to starting to do something, right? And by meaning that, I mean you need to starting to, again, identify where the problem came from. And in order to solve it, you need to get kind of this pillars of email deliverability, which is email infrastructure, which is domain and mailbox health that you have there, which is your email template, which is the segmentation that we covered already. And those things should be polished because you're doing something isn't right. So you need to understand that the way you're sending emails, it's more harder than you having a thought for the first year. Yeah, and also one more thing regarding the inbox placement rate. Basically, each and every ESP, email service provider out there is not just Google, Gmail, and Microsoft with their Exchange and Outlook. There is the Yahoo, AOL, Amazon. There is plenty of the ESPs, for example, iCloud, that Apple users would love to use. And you need to understand that there is really different rules for each of those email service providers. But having in place great infrastructure, polished DNS records, great email deliverability health for both of your domain mailbox, give an ability to reach their inboxes. And as a result, drive great results for your email marketing campaigns and avoid obviously blacklist promotions and spam folders.
But I was gonna curious, is there one inbox provider that's stricter than the rest? Is Gmail harder than Microsoft Office or Yahoo? Who's the strictest?
Yeah, the great question, by the way. So having working with Gmail for a while with our Balkans agency, we're seeing that having your mailboxes on the G Suite, having bad landing rate in Microsoft Outlook and vice versa. Basically, having your primary SP Microsoft, you have bad landing to the Gmail. So this is funny thing in terms of having main provider as one of them.
Yeah,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah, basically there is the algorithms probably that say that if you're using Microsoft and you're sending emails to the Google, that you have better results because this is the Google emails. And back and forth, this kind of fighting back and forth, which is email service provider better than other.
Yeah. There's one additional benefit of setting up SPF, DMARC, and DKIM that is worth touching on, is that when the email standard was first created, there was no validation. So you could send from any email address you wanted. There's no validation that you actually own that email address. You could just send from, I could pretend I was Vlad at Folderly and send emails, and there's no validation. So part of the reason SPF and DMARC and DKIM and all these have been developed is to add that layer of validation. The reason this is important is that if you're a big company, people might try to spoof your email address and send spam, and that'll negatively impact your domain and your deliverability. And so it's really important to set these up just to prevent spoofing of your email. It's a really big problem.
Right. And by the way, moving to the maintain, and the great topic that you raised, Matt. So having spoofing is kind of a common problem that if you will have no DNS records, other people can use your domain, because there is no kind of rocket science in having SMTP and AMAP protocol. This is the main protocols for sending and receiving emails, to just copy your domain and send from for example, my name or Matt's name under the Dyspatch or Folderly. Because if you have no DNS records, there is ability to use your domain as a sending domain for third parties or so. So basically you need to take care of this kind of cybersecurity thing of side of email deliverability, but it's not that kind of heavy from the first view. It's just the record that required you like to put there under the domain, under the GoDaddy or Cloudflare, like just for the one time, and you can polish kind of it by doing this today, and all of those kind of emails that went tomorrow or like in the future from your domain and your tools will be authenticated. So basically, if you have no settings under your domain, we're strongly suggest you right now to set it up first, because this is the one thing that causes you the bad reputation and causes you a bad engagement rate. So, and talking about the maintenance of your domain and mailboxes, so basically you need to monitor your domain health and mailbox health on the like daily basis. Can I say that? Because if you're sending emails and there is the ability of emails end up in spam and promotion depending on the user behavior, you need to understand how your domain mailboxes or tool that you are using interacts on the like next day with those filters. So basically, for example, I'm like sending 1 million of emails today, and tomorrow for some reason I have like worse stats for the next my email marketing campaign because I did something wrong with my first one, and as a result I end up with a bad reputation or bad engagement rate because, for example, I put a lot of links or bad HTML code inside my email marketing letter or something in my standby email marketing campaign, and as a result the next campaign will suffer because I like didn't polish everything on 100%, and as a result I'm getting the bad result in the next marketing campaign. So going forward, talking about segmentation, what's the crucial thing about segmentation, Matt, on your thought or from your experience?
Probably the most important, the simplest and most important thing for segmentation, in my opinion, is remove people from your list if they're not engaging in email. And like, you can set that criteria, but if someone hasn't opened an email in, opened or clicked in, maybe call it 90 days, probably time to remove them out. I don't know if you have a better idea of what the best metric is there. If you want to be aggressive, and depending on how much email you send, it might be 30 days, but just people who aren't engaging, pull them out. That's my number one most important thing, I think.
Over the internet, by the way, there is the metric that I need to pull my inactive leads that never engage with my email marketing campaigns once per quarter or something. But I agree with you, Matt, that you need to be more frequent because each day you can have more and more impact or effect on your email deliverability if you didn't do so. If you will continue to send emails to inactive mailboxes, because there is the thing that people can change the job, can change the company that they work on, and their email address can kind of changing or starting to be inactive. So it's kind of, in email marketing, we call this email hygiene. Basically, how you work with your database. It's kind of how you can, for example, drive the great results if your leads inactive and no one even open your emails once in a while. So basically you need to have always new leads coming, new subscribers coming to your email list. They should be inactive, and you can measure this by their engagement with your brand, with your email marketing campaigns. They can be passive. By passive, I mean they can open emails once per month or something, but there is the cases that there is the people who wouldn't even open your emails because something went wrong, or maybe this is kind of lead that never wanted to receive those emails. And from those kind of leads or subscribers or email lists that are inactive, you should get rid of. And there's plenty of tools that help you with this out there. You can basically Google for email balance validation tools, and you will have I guess thousands of different tools that are already cleaning your database assets. And there's two more statuses that I put here: lapsing and lapsed. By meaning lapsing, you can send email to someone, and for example, it went there, and it never received, but it still can be received after, for example, like 3 days. There is the common thing because worldwide, as I mentioned before, it's already like 300 billion emails goes around, and there is huge, like, can I say, maintenance comes on those kind of SMTP and AMA protocol. It's kind of pressure that for this kind of amount of emails that goes around the world, because the first focus group that created those SMTP protocol, I mean, internet focus group that created basically internet and put their protocols as SMTP and AMA, never thought that there will be 300 billion emails per day, and this kind of huge email marketing campaigns goes around from each and everyone to everyone. And as a result, we're having a new problem that emails lapsed to your recipient. It can be delivered like since like few days or maybe few hours, but it depends. It even depends on the country where those kind of ESPs staying. And like lapsed is kind of emails that are being lost without no statuses. Yeah. Going forward to how one more like major problem for email marketers out there, that there is a lot of people that signing up to the each and every like product, shop, any company with a fake email. And as a result, you having your email, like database email list, fulfilled with the wrong email addresses, which cause bounces for the further email marketing campaigns, which cause bad email deliverability and have effect on your domain and email address health. And by fighting that is kind of simple, but want to like ask you, Matt, what you suggest people who dealing with a fake signups and, for example, heavily investing to their PPC campaigns, and there is a lot of people that sign up with a fake email addresses there?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough challenge. And so there's kind of like two things you can do. Like pre-sign up, you can add form validation that blocks like free domains, and there's there's services now like anonymous email services, so people can sign up with a fake email address that just goes somewhere or goes nowhere. Or there's just pure spam where someone they type in like just mash the keyboard like a cat and use a fake email. So you can do preform validation. I think that's really important, but it's also kind of like you're fighting a losing battle because there's more and more services pop up all the time, and like you can't be perfect. So I think it's important to do preform validation. So add validation before people submit. Look for the common bad domains. Maybe filter out stuff like asdf.com or something like that. And then post form, I do think it's important to have like a click-through validation of email addresses. What I mean by that is when someone signs up for your newsletter, as an example, send them a test email and ask for that two-step verification. Hey, click here to verify your email address. And then only the people who click through on that, only those people make it into your marketing list. That's probably like the best practices for maximum deliverability and maximum or optimizing to remove fake signups. So I'd recommend that. That does, you do see drop off when you have that verification step. So some people are reluctant to do it. But if you're having issues with a lot of fake signups, maybe you do that for a little bit until fake signups go away, and then you can take it away. But those are the two things I'd recommend.
Perfect. Also, same here. I would suggest you to come up with some sort of email validation tool that you can put inside of your form that will validate your email before it lands to your email list. So this is the perfect way to avoid those. Also block those free tools like 5-minute emails and then burn out. This is the one more thing that people love to use, and when they didn't want to share their email addresses. So there is kind of best practices there to use software, maybe form validation, as Matt says. And by doing this, you can avoid like spending money, spending your time figuring out why your emails end up in spam, because you by default avoiding the problem with inactive emails. Yeah, and like moving forward to topic, which is like that kind of have a big importance and big matter in the email marketing life, is kind of email templates and email content you are sending to your subscribers. Basically, always, my advice here is kind of always preview your emails for the spam trigger words and have less links than it can be. So I know my friend of mine sending like emails and having like 20 or something links. And I was like, why are you doing this? Because I want to have more CTR, click-through rate over my email marketing campaigns. But this is kind of bad strategy because by default, your emails end up in promotion folder because of the nature of your email marketing letter. Because having a lot of links, having plenty of HTML code there, having the commercial theme of your email cause the problem, which is promotion folder. And this is not a spam folder because spam, like cutting your email engagement rate to the 0, but with the promotions, I think you're cutting your email marketing performance like at least twice because this is additional folder. And people usually read those letters that comes to the promotion folder because we're working always with one, and this is inbox because this is the place where our business partners, our colleagues lands, where we're talking with the clients, etc. Basically, so if you want to avoid promotion problem where your email performance cutting by twice, take in mind that you need to work with your content. You need to be more humanized rather than be more like robotic emails that like inviting people to the webinar or something. You need to use from our best practices. We would suggest you to use not generic email addresses. For example, a lot of people using like info at something, sales at something, like general at something. Like general at example.com or something to sending the huge amount of emails. But filters already came up with a solution that all of those generic emails by default counting as a commercial letter, and it end up in promo folder and cutting your, again, email performance twice or even more. But by having some sort of personalization, sending emails on some people's behalf, like having Vlad at your name and sending emails from Vlad@folgerly.com have much more success. Rather, I will use info@folgerly.com and it will land to the promotion folder because we're fighting here for like visibility inside of email mailboxes, which is kind of fulfilled with so many emails. From my experience, by the way, average CEO at the company receiving like 50 up to 100 emails per day, which is like doesn't make any sense. Like kind of backlinks or something like that. Yeah. Matt, would you suggest like kind of what you will suggest in order to having great email template strategy behind the email marketing campaigns from your experience?
Yeah, I think testing for spam triggers is like really, really important, especially depending on what industry you're in. Like e-commerce is an example, like you want to run deals, you want to run discounts, you want to give stuff away for free. All of those are things that spammers use as well. And so e-commerce as a vertical, like you got to be really careful about this thing. The one thing I'm a big fan of is ensuring that no matter who your marketing emails come from, ensure like that there's some kind of like gravatar or like favicon that's associated with it. We see such a huge increase in open rate if like there's a face or a logo that's associated with your marketing email. Gmail always shows the face. I think the other inbox providers do it as well. If you don't have it, it's like automatically it kind of looks like spam. So it's something to look for when you're doing kind of like your campaign setup and testing. Those are kind of like maybe the lesser known things I focus on. I think for like open rates in particular, like everyone talks about the subject line and pre-header. So like, I think those are pretty important to think about and to test for. Those are kind of some of my top tips.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And one of the main things that always marketers forget is that you need to increase your volumes gradually. And you don't want to send, for example, I created email address, created domain, created email address under it, put some tool in place and starting to sending 1 billion of emails. this is kind of the worst strategy that you can come up with, actually. So having this in mind, you need to have kind of gradual strategy for your email marketing campaign. Having, for example, 100, 200, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 emails sending out from your domain, from your mailboxes before like blasting them to the death. Yeah, basically, yeah, you need to have this in mind that there is no kind of possibility if you will blast 1 billion of emails or few millions of emails after the setup that you will have the great deliverability after that. So this is the great topic that like a lot of people actually forget, and starting to drive the results from the 1 billion of emails, even having like 0.0001% of open rates, right? And this is the bad result, yeah, that you need to take care of. Yeah, so let's dive deep to the AMP thing that like Matt specialized in bread and butter. So Matt, what is the interactive emails and how we can utilize it in terms of the email marketing strategy?
Yeah, thanks, Bud. So interactive email is interactive email in general isn't necessarily a new topic, but we're talking about AMP for email in particular, AMP for email, which is a new technology from Google. It's new in that it's the next generation of email. It's not new in that it's been around for a couple of years now, and people have been trying to figure out how to use it effectively. But this is like this is really like next generation email. It gives your email superpowers, I would say. And you can kind of think about it, and this is the approach Dyspatch that we take. You can embed app or website functionality directly inside the inbox. So you can see in this animation here, like live polls or surveys is just one example of how this can be used. But think about like almost any user experience you have inside your app or on your website, we can probably build that into an email right now and to have people interact with it and do things, make a purchase without leaving the inbox. So it's super, super powerful. And like has all these benefits of like increasing engagement and conversion. That's the one thing with interactive emails we've seen is that there's no bad case studies. Almost every test using this technology is producing an increase in results over plain old HTML, which is, I think, pretty phenomenal. This is also, we talked about earlier, like there's the table stakes for email deliverability. Everything Vlad talked about, like set up your DKIM SPF, set up subdomains, use a dedicated, there's all those things that you set up. And then the other side of email deliverability is the engagement side. And like you can't guarantee engagement and open rate, but you can optimize for it. And interactive email is a really great way to try something that's totally different, totally new, and it's going to really delight your users and try to drive some of that engagement. Yeah, so let's dig in. There's some caveats to interactive email. I'll say this. It is a Google technology, so it works great on Gmail. It works great on Google Workspaces. It works great anywhere you get Gmail, so iPhone or Android, but it doesn't work in Apple Mail and it doesn't work in any of the Microsoft Office or Office 365 products today. So here's we go next slide.
Yeah, let's go.
Here's the list of the supported clients today. I'll note that Yahoo and AOL both support this as well. So it's one of the things we always recommend for customers when they're looking at or interested in interactive email is, look at your email list and just see how many Gmails you have. And there's often like a fair amount. And if you're on Google Workspace yourself or on Gmail, it's likely you're receiving AMP emails already. There's this great example. Google Docs implemented quick reply in email. You can see it here. And this increased the reply rate on Google Docs by something like 500%. It was like a huge increase in engagement in Google Docs from adding this one workflow. And so it's just like an amazing technology. One of the big things about it as well, because AMP is designed by Google, they've thought a lot about the safety and security behind this technology. And this is always, kind of like one of the things people are really scared about. Trying new things in email is scary because we don't want to negatively impact safety or security of our users. So from a safety perspective, there's no ads allowed in AMP emails. There's no password fields allowed. So you can't, this removes kind of the spoofing risks. And as the AMP for email specification actually is written, you can't forward one of these AMP emails to someone else. If you forward one of these interactive emails, the interactive component is actually removed from the email, and they only get the plain old HTML and plain text. So it adds a lot of safety for the users there. That like if you're sending this to them, it's really secure, and so that's why we can kind of see AMP already being used in use cases where there's some security involved, whether it's like purchases or abandoned cart examples and things like that. The other component of AMP that people worry about a lot is deliverability. And again, it's a technology designed by Google. It's used by Google. So it's designed not to impact your deliverability. And actually, specifically, in order to send AMP emails, your domain has to be whitelisted by Gmail, by Fair Email, and by Yahoo and AOL in order to send these. And so you have to kind of clear this bar of being whitelisted. It's not hard. And Dyspatch, we help our customers do this and get through this hurdle. But once you're whitelisted to send out these AMP interactive emails, you're kind of good to go, and it's not going to negatively impact your deliverability. If you are, if you're sending AMP and you also spam a bunch of people with like some really bad emails, like, yeah, that's going to impact your deliverability, but not the AMP side. That's not going to impact it. So let's dig in. There's a couple more caveats around AMP that I wanted to touch on, and then let's get into some of the exciting things and use cases for AMP. So let's go next slide, bud. Yeah. Actually, maybe I should pause, but do you see on your side from deliverability perspective, do you see any issues with AMP, or like how do you think about interactive email when you're looking at deliverability for a client?
Since this is kind of brand new technology, there's not that many case studies that it probably will be in a while, because we're currently starting to utilize, and there's only few clients of ours starting to utilize AMP and starting to ask questions. So there is currently no kind of problems with it, as long as it's kind of legit emails that came from the domains, right? And you get the right point that you need to have whitelist in order to AMP works, because of this kind of sensitive thing. But one of the problems that our clients asking a lot, this is kind of how you can create those AMP emails. And there is is there any code knowledge that they need to know? And basically this kind of educational thing that comes to the AMP right now. Basically, currently email marketers starting to having new, more scalable marketing campaigns, or trying to understand how they can be more effective with email marketing campaigns. And then it goes to the AMP right now.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest challenges we see with adoption of AMP as well, is that right now, for most people, it requires they get developers involved to write code. And everyone knows, especially as a marketer, how hard it is to get a developer involved. It's one of the reasons here at Dyspatch, our goal is to make this to be a no-code solution for you. So we've got lots of pre-built AMP apps. We're going to show some examples that you can just kind of drop into campaigns you're sending today. Let's cover, I guess, some of the little gotchas to AMP. I guess the number one thing is that you do need an email sending platform or an ESP that does support sending AMP. The good news here is that a lot of the top tier ESPs are starting to support this. So if you're on SendGrid or something like that, they support AMP today. If you're doing your marketing email through something kind of newer, like Braze or Iterable, they will support it. Salesforce Marketing Cloud now supports it, which is really great. Notable outliers in kind of the B2B world, Pardo and Marketo don't support it today, which is unfortunate. But that's the biggest thing first for AMP is look at, hey, is my sending provider supported today? And if you have questions or you're not sure, feel free to jump on the Dyspatch website and take a look. We've got a list of all those supported senders today. The other thing with AMP is that when you're sending out interactive emails, you're still sending a normal email as well. So a challenge is that you have to build an interactive email and a normal HTML email at the same time. So it's a bit of an extra hurdle. That's one of the reasons why if you're sending a campaign today, you can add AMP on kind of as an extra layer. Products like Dyspatch, we help you build both at the same time. So we kind of solve that problem for you, but it's there. And it is a new tech. So, there's some rough edges to figure out, again, how do you do analytics on AMP? It's a whole new thing. And so you have to kind of think about some of these new challenges. Let's go next slide and let's start jumping into some examples.
By the way, Matt, I have a question. So there is like plenty of people. So basically, email marketing have two sides. There's most of the sites. So basically, per site, there's the people that utilizing the Gmail and Google Workspace. There's the many of them because it's like a major email service provider. But what's about the Microsoft? I guess there is the people here right now using Microsoft Exchange, maybe Outlook. So if there is any way they can utilize AMP?
Yeah. So unfortunately, Microsoft, they are doing a beta test with AMP as far as I know, but it's not live and available to everyone today. So yeah, Microsoft customers won't get AMP. And that's why it's so important to always ensure you're building like a great HTML fallback, because when you send out one of these AMP emails, the Microsoft customers, if they open that in a Microsoft inbox, they're going to see the HTML fallback. And so you have to ensure that's really great. I really hope Microsoft adopts AMP, and I know they are testing with it. Microsoft's also developing some of their own technology as well. So it might be one of those, you'll have a Microsoft specific technology and a Google specific technology, which is, really unfortunate, but we'll help people navigate that if that's what it comes to.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for sharing.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into some examples. I already talked through interactive polls. This is probably like one of the coolest examples. If you're using Google Forms and you send out Google Forms to people today, Google Forms actually automatically sends out an AMP version of your form, which is super cool. And people can reply to your form directly in email. The downside is that it looks like a Google form and it has the Google branding and everything else. So if you want to make it look like your own, you can do that. Use a product like Dyspatch or others. And this will look great and be interactive right in email, which is, I think, pretty important. The next use case, we go to that, live parcel tracking. This is probably one of the ones I'm most excited about and seeing wider adoption for. So we built this here at Dyspatch, and this integrates with a service called Easy Post. And we do all this all for our customers. And so you can give us any tracking number, whether it's UPS, FedEx, Canada Post here in Canada, whatever you want. And we can generate these interactive tracking emails that whenever the tracking status gets updated, the email gets updated as well, which is huge. I'm like a big Amazon guy, especially up here in Canada. It's hard to get some stuff. So I'm always like watching where my packages are at and what's going on. And so I love the tracking app in this use case. It's great for e-commerce and any industry where you're sending things and your customers are waiting on delivery. I think it's great. And what's interesting is that these kind of emails, like email, like tracking status emails, or another great one is airline tickets. These are kind of called reference emails because they're like really important information that your customer is going to kind of go back to and they're going to reference over and over again. And so they see really, really high engagement. And so they're great opportunities for you as an email marketer to think about, hey, like how do I insert relevant information to this customer, because they're going to open this email over and over again. So reference emails are a great email to ensure they have a really good experience because they're going to get seen over and over again. They're going to see really, really high engagement. Yeah. I think it's interesting to think about, like, is there other opportunities for email marketers to create reference emails, or even in sales prospecting, can you create reference emails? Maybe if you're providing like infographics or that kind of information. Yeah. Vlad, do you see kind of higher engagement when you're sending out kind of like, or do you see success with infographic style campaigns? Is that something?
Yeah. So, by the way, sharing my experience with some sort of reference emails, I really like when those kind of airlines sending you email and inside of the Gmail, it's starting to play with your calendar, starting to play inside the system, kind of having events, even though if there is no mention of events or even invitation to the events. So reference in Gmail works kind of great because it drives the experience that I never miss the flight, for example. And regarding the date, time, it kind of takes good. Also, they are doing this as well for the hotels and like kind of hospitality service, like niche. And it really drives something kind of unusual inside of your inbox. Instead of having like plain text that you kind of have a reservation on kind of like 5th of July or something like that, you have interactive way that is already put on kind of Google Trips and your calendar, and you can interact with this kind of with this AMP interface inside the email. So from the infographic standpoint, to be honest with you, Matt, we didn't test it out. So we kind of sending currently in the old-fashioned way our HTML letters. We're kind of about to adopt the AMP for ourselves in order to test it out.
Cool.
A kind of positive case study that drive the great results. So running the infographic, we will definitely try it out.
Yeah.
On your end, how the infographic works?
I just thought actually an interesting use case. It's kind of like infographics, but for SaaS companies, it's really often you send like a weekly report. And so it's like Folderly, you likely just here's a weekly report, or even like a daily report of how your domains are using. And AMP is actually a really great use case for that, because you can make the reports interactive. You can make it so they can like click through or tap through. You can make them the reports update in real time. So reporting in email is actually a really amazing way to leverage AMP and make those like references. Because now instead of, Vlad, as a SaaS product, it's really important to get your decision makers, the one who control budget. They have to you want them logging into the product, seeing the dashboard, seeing the value you're creating. And those weekly reports are a great way to remind them, hey, this is how much value we're creating for you this week. And so the more you increase the value that email brings, the more interaction you're going to see, and the more those buyers are going to be excited for the value you're creating. So yeah, product reports are like a great use case for AMP.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. We're like doing this with a hard-coded thing over the Madriel, so it should be the better way. Yeah,
we should talk, bud. I can help.
Yeah.
I think this next use case is pretty interesting as well. So calendar bookings are...
Sorry. Just jumping to the review side. So yeah, calendar bookings.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep moving here because we're close to the top of the hour. But I just want to highlight calendar bookings because so far we talked about things that are kind of more relevant to consumer email marketing. But calendar bookings are like, obviously in the B2B space, you want calendar bookings. You want meetings in the calendar, and we all use Calendly now so that people can schedule on a web page. But with calendar bookings, we can embed Calendly right in the email client. So it's no longer like, hey, like go to Calendly, click through. That has every marketer know every step you add, you have drop off. You can embed calendar booking right in the email, prevent that drop off. And so it's a really great app use case. And like, probably like the number one use case we're seeing people do uptake on is calendar booking. So, can go to the next slide, just talk about reviews and surveys.
Yep.
Everyone knows how important like NPS and customer satisfaction is now. The interesting thing for use case is in this example, you're kind of seeing the whole email as NPS, but we can embed NPS just in the footer of an email, or we can make it like kind of like an expanding or a drop down in email. So the benefit here is like start collecting NPS and customer satisfaction information with all of your emails, and not just sending out one-off campaigns around this. So you get more information, you get it more often. I think it's a way better way to collect NPS. We've done a lot of work with clients as well. One of the requests we always get is, hey, if someone gives us like a really low NPS score, we actually want to flag our Zendesk or our help desk, like create a support ticket, because obviously this customer's not having a great time. But if they give like a 9 or a 10 and they're really engaged, can we prompt them to share on social? Can we give them like a gift card or something else? And so that's part of what Dyspatch helps people do, is like add that kind of like logic in there to be like, hey, if they're down at this end, create the support ticket. If they're up here, let's give them like a different experience. So I think it's pretty huge. Maybe just skip the next 2 slides and reply to comment. We talked about this, but yeah, the benefit here, let's talk about this really quick. But like I talked about the Google Docs use case, they saw over 500% increase in engagement. Other use cases here are seeing like 300% increase in click-throughs. Like it's wild. It's really wild the benefit AMP can have. It's all built on the back of, though, you have to be set up to send email. So you need all the steps Vlad talked about of being set up for success with deliverability. You kind of have to do that. And then you can start looking at the optimization side of how do we do this, increase conversions and click-through rates. And I think it really does wow recipients in like a huge way. We see really positive feedback as well. I'm like, hey, this is really cool. How do you do this and all that? So I think it's a technology that should be at the top of your mind in terms of like, hey, how are we going to optimize our email this year in 2022? Should really look at interactive. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Also, Matt, kind of Can you share some maybe case studies for the listeners regarding the utilization of Dyspatch in terms of designing of the email? So most common thing that people came up with, and like most cases that maybe we didn't cover inside the AMP things.
Yeah, so there's two sides to what we do at Dyspatch. On one end, we help people design mobile-friendly and responsive email very, very quickly and guarantee that they're going to look right in the inbox. And on that design and building side, we've got case studies where we've taken customers from months down to literal hours to getting a production-ready email that's guaranteed to be mobile-friendly and guaranteed to work on all devices. So that's kind of the time frame we work on. Is that it's like a 99% increase in production time. It's huge. On the app building side, we do something very similar. Apps are a little more complicated, right? Because we got to connect them to your database, connect them to your CRM, do all the work. But at Dyspatch, we do all that heavy lifting. So we've seen customers in under a week get live with an app and sending it out to their customers, whether that's meeting booking, any of the examples I've shown. We've got over 10 apps now that are all in Dyspatch. They're all ready to go. You kind of got to connect it to a back end, connect it to your CRM, and then change the branding, make it look and feel like you want it to. So that we can get you live really quick. I can't claim this 500% engagement or 300% click-through rate. Those aren't our case studies, but more conversions. We're definitely seeing that 86% or more increase in conversions, 50% increase in conversions in some cases. It's pretty wild.
Thank you, Matt. And as a future of email of the AMP, so a lot of people said that this we covered before. That people like email marketing is dead, but here's kind of a new breath for it. So basically, you can be really like innovative in terms of the email marketing, which has existed like already for forever.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting stats people like to point to, like millennials or like Gen Y, like. People have grown up with mobile phones and mobile apps their entire lives. Like email seems like a really foreign concept to them. The thing we are is like, as those people enter the workforce, like they all have email. Email is still their identity. But one of the things that interactive email and apps email can help is like, it can give them the same user experience that they're familiar with from what they've grown up with, all the mobile apps they've used, right? So if your email starts looking and feeling like a mobile app, I think it's actually a way to keep email really relevant to those kind of that next generation of inboxes you're going to be sending email to.
Yeah. Part of each and every webinar right now. So it's kind of, we came to the Q&A session. There is kind of plenty of questions asked there. So everyone who currently like listen to us, you can ask questions, and me and Matt will like go over for those emails. Sorry, it's kind of emails of my brain, I guess. So email marketing kind of taking the huge place in our lives. So so let's answer those questions. So first question, by the way, some sort of politics here, is the software used to fight the Russian disinformation? So no, it's not a relevant question because it's kind of email deliverability side, but we do help a lot of people, and we kind of have some initiatives there that helps and kind of this field help Ukraine. There's some part of our team like Ukrainians, so we definitely help our people to like with this kind of situation. So there is kind of, we don't send emails and there is like no way to fight, but we can fight as like helping our people to get to the inboxes, having like people utilize their email marketing campaigns in more better way. So next question, have you thought about integrating your software to Zoho? First steps are setting SPF the marketing team. So Matt, it's about Folgerly. So quick answer then. So our main goal is to integrate with each and every ESP out there. So basically there's more than 500 ESPs and tools that are on the email sending side. Our goal is to help people to be more efficient with the emails and with email deliverability. And by doing this in like few clicks, not going to the GoDaddy or Cloudflare. It will be like kind of plug and play integration for all of those DNS setting plays out there. So yeah, working on this. Question to you, Matt. What are the top 3 mistakes that your clients make while building their email templates?
Maybe I don't want to poke fun at my clients, but I'll maybe say top 3 mistakes in people building email in general. I think number 1 mistake is like thinking of mobile friendliness and responsiveness and treating that as like an afterthought. And so like a lot of people go through the workflow of like design the email, get all the content, get all the images in it, and then they go to test, and then they look at it on an iPhone or in Office, and they're like, oh, this email is broken. So if you kind of invert your thinking there and like start with a mobile first mindset or a responsive mindset first, I think it's really important. That kind of like is related. Second mistake would be like not using a modular design system. I think if you're serious about email, like a modular design system will bring you a ton of benefits. Like number 1 of that, like guaranteeing it's going to be mobile friendly, responsive is huge. I think as well, like either overusing or not using images can be a big thing as well. Overusing images is really common. So some people, because they have issues with mobile friendliness, whatever, they just make the entire email one big image. That's not a good time. No one likes that. And the inbox providers don't like that, especially. But underusing images can be a challenge as well, right? Like, we talked about the millennials and everything, like younger people, like everyone responds really well to great visuals. And so like you should use images and visuals that will get people engaging with your email more.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. One more question regarding the perfect setup for cold outreach journey. And this kind of, for me, Michael tagged me. So basically I would suggest for most of our clients and this kind of the best case study that I can talk about. So basically having the G Suite, when we're talking about the cold email outreach, having the G Suite Gmail, having some sort of email outreach tool like Outreach.io, maybe Woodpecker, or maybe Replay.io, or Woodpecker or Sendgrid. There's plenty of tools. So basically, the crucial thing here is to have G Suite on the back end of the URSP email service provider, because we saw that it drives better result. But again, having Microsoft is not that bad, because Microsoft have bigger limitation thing. So if we're talking about cold email outreach and Gmail, it takes kind of 200, 500 emails per day, safe measure for cold email outreach. Not talking about email marketing on the warm side of things, when it's kind of million of emails. And from the Microsoft standpoint, it can be like 2,000, 20,000. But again, don't blast any emails. This might be better, like a best suggestion I can make to you. And setup. And this is the topic that we covered before, having the great email infrastructure, DNS settings in place, having your segmentation list, like keep the list hygiene there, and always take care about your email templates. And whatever tool will you use, basically you will drive results if you will work on those kind of side of things. Next question. For a company starting their cold outreach for the first time, what are the main to-dos? Can you elaborate on table stakes you mentioned? Create domain, subdomain, create dedicated IP address, and email notification. So yeah, here's the thing. We cover the email marketing on the warm side of things. So when it takes to sending like emails to your subscribers, when you want to, if you're doing, basically you don't doing like cold email outreach, you need to take care of those kind of 3 main pillar things for to do. So don't want to waste your time, guys. We will send the email follow up with the to dos for email call outreach and for email marketing form side of things. So let's go further. So, guys, could you please tell what's the perfect open rate for marketing emails? Matt, we'll give you this one.
I think there's no perfect open rate. I think industry standard is anything around 30% and up is pretty great. If you're under 30% open rate, you should really look at optimizing for that and really look at are you actually making it to the inbox and deliverability side? Yeah. Do you agree or disagree, Vlad, on the marketing email open rate?
Totally agree. Some of our clients suffering for like 5-10% of open rate, and with Volgel we're increasing it up to 30. But it's really hard when it takes to the email marketing campaigns take to kind of 70% or so. With a cold outreach, it's possible because kind of it's count-based process where you have your risk hygiene at the like maximum level. You have like 200 people that you want to reach out to, and you have high open rate. But when it takes to email marketing, when you're trying to be more kind of informative and don't want to land to the promotion folder, the great way is to keep it like 30, 25 maybe. It's kind of standard, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Next one, again for you, Matt. So for the interactive emails, I guess if testing it out, would have add some segmentation to only send it to the people that use Gmail, Google, or if sending to the consumers, only send to the people in the email list with a Gmail. So basically, regarding the platform that supports the EMP.
This is actually a common misconception, is that you don't need to do this. And actually, if you only send to at Gmail and at Google, you're at risk of ignoring people who could receive this. So anyone using Google Workspaces or like Google for Business, they can receive AMP emails as well, because they're essentially using the business version of Gmail. And so if you only send to at Gmail, you're ignoring, or at Google Mail, you're ignoring all the Google Workspace customers. And so software like Dyspatch will automatically create a HTML version of your email and the interactive AMP version. And we'll ensure the HTML version it kind of like still looks great, is still on brand, and it still looks a great email. And so it's I actually recommend to sending out to most of your list if you're testing on interactive, because you want to ensure you capture those Google Workspace customers as well. You can explicitly ignore at Outlook, because then you know they're not going to get the interactive one. But if you have a good fallback HTML that's going to like link them to a landing page or something else, you might want to just send the campaign to them as well anyways. But yeah, it's a really common misconception.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. One more just arrived, but we have almost the last. So basically, Ben asking us, are the reviews and NPS score available for Office 365 Outlook users, or is it only for Gmail? I guess we already covered the thing.
Yeah, only in Gmail, but you should send it anyways, because you can have them click through maybe to like a website review or NPS.
Yeah. And the last question we have here for now, so is having the redirect link in your signature contributing to having the bad DNS health score or getting spam blocked? So I'm not really into the tech lingo. Okay. For example, my signature has a website, oneup.com, but is being redirected to oneup.ai. So this is the kind of great question. So this is the thing where the Google analyze this email. For example, you send an email to your recipient, and while in this kind of lapsing phase, when it's reaching to your recipient, the Google clicking and analyzing your content. Basically, it will click to your link, go to the website, and it will get a redirect, which is a red flag for the email deliverability, because from the DNS standpoint, you're using one domain and redirecting to another domain. This is on the kind of spoofing side of things. So it's kind of suspicious for the Google or Microsoft to lead your potential recipient to another website that it didn't have the initial like domain settings, like as an email authentication for the first domain. I mean. So basically, if you're sending email from the one domain leading to each other another, so basically this is the bad practices. We strongly suggest you to have one domain, one redirection, and have this domain authenticated to send your emails, because other ways kind of red flag. Want to add something, Matt?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important to think about is like what links you're using, what domains those links are on. Yeah.
Perfect. And last question just arrived again. So which brand do you think does the best so far when it comes to interactive emails? mainly want to get a better understanding of what is possible to see live and the use cases. So the last one for you, Matt.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a lot of brands that do it well. I think Booking.com in particular has some great experiences. Bogsy had some really great experiences as well, built inside email. Oyo, which is like a travel company, has like travel booking emails where you can like live browse things. If you're in more like the SaaS space, Doodle, which is like kind of like the kind of poll and scheduling service, they have some great examples as well. So there's a couple of brands at Dyspatch. We've got a guide. It's everything you need to know about AMP for email. It's on our website. It's a white paper. There's no email capture. You can go look at this for free. And it has just a boatload of examples on like different use cases and different verticals and how it's being used. So I'd check that out. Everything you need to know about AMP for email is a good resource.
Thank you, Matt. So this was like last question. So time to wrap it up. So we already spent some extra time on this.
Yeah.
So like pleasure having you today, Matt. So thank you everyone for listening to us. I hope this webinar was kind of useful for you and you will start to like think about email deliverability from more like process side of things, because it's not just by domain create email and start to send emails. Now it's kind of different rules for game. Right, Matt?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Vlad. It's been a great conversation and I absolutely agree. Like, deliverability is a big problem and you need tools that help you keep on top of it on a daily or weekly basis. I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. So yeah, we will send an email with follow-up questions and additional information shortly. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Matt, again. Have a great one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.